mit Augen trinkt, gießt nachts der Mond in Wogen nieder.
Hello, this is Arnaud Arbet for this Chronicle of the Seuil musical about le Prélude à l'après-midi d'un Faune of Debussy. You probably already know the very famous line of the solo flute at the beginning. Orchestra. So, this is the beginning of Prélude à l'après-midi d'un Faune. It has often been said that this piece is the first modern piece of music history. And that's right, that there is in this piece something very special. What is this? In really musical terms, we can say that the chromatism, the way Debussy uses chromatism, is totally new. Chromatism is very known, especially in Wagner's music, to come back to Wagner again, but you know that Wagner had used a lot of chromatism in his music. Of course, the Prelude of Tristan is the most famous example. If I have to play it now. All lines inside that are chromatic. But it's just the beginning. In Tristan, everything is chromatic. But as you hear in this very small example, you arrive at the end of, to something that is still tonal, so to say, which could be a dominant of, or something like this. In Debussy, what is new, and this is absolutely incredible, is the function of chromatism has disappeared. I explain. In all the music since Bach, there is a dualism between, on one side, chromatism, which is pain, the bad in general, searching for power, and crisis problems. And the diatonism with bigger intervals for instance, which is the contrary. It is a good balance, it is the good in general, the religious, the purity. You find this almost exaggerated in Wagner, in Tannhäuser, for instance. You have on one side Venus with love and sex, a lot of chromatism, and Elizabeth, the pure, the white, and trying to go towards purity and God. Okay, so this dualism existed since Bach, as I said. You can take the Commendatore in Don Giovanni of Mozart. You can take everything. It is very clear. Debussy just erases this function. He deactivates it. You have a chromatism at the beginning of the prelude. Which is just chromatism, nothing else. It is relaxed, it is nice. He uses also this interval of tritonus, which also in Wagner meant this tension. Here, on the contrary, it's a white and free interval. So this is like a revolution in music, really, you can say, and that's why this piece is so known as the first modern piece, because everything what we had since Bach and even before in Monteverdi, and this automatic link that we do disappears. It's a subtle revolution, invisible. So you can imagine, yeah, the reaction of the public at that time, hearing this line of flute alone at the end of the orchestra. You can imagine, yeah, the reaction of people not knowing where they are. So you can say by Debussy, with this piece, the threshold, the musical threshold, is already crossed. What can we say else about this piece? Actually, this line will come a lot of time in this piece, and it's like, not an exercise, but Debussy showed the different ways, a lot of ways to harmonize the same line. Here you will have one possible harmonization. And so on. There are a lot of others. Amazing how one melody takes various faces just through the way he harmonizes it. There is an element I want to point, because it's for all the music of Debussy. It's one aspect that comes always. It's the repetition. Repetition. One bar. And again. Always. Debussy repeats always, so that's good, because the music is complex in itself, but the fact that you hear it twice, you memorize it much more easily, and you you have the possibility to find it actually natural, because the second time you feel, I know this already. And this is for the whole music of Debussy. Si, do, do. Horns, silence, amazing. Repeating this line and repeating the bar. And playing the line again at the flute, harmonized. Okay, so this is one aspect very important for Debussy. You will always hear the things twice. What is the story of this Prélude à l'après-midi d'un faune? Well, L'après-midi d'un faune is a poem by Stéphane Mallarmé, one of the most important poets in Paris at the end of the 19th century. With a poetry extremely complex, you can say complex. When you read a poem for the first time, you don't understand it, you have to study, because the order of the words is very new, very complex. The vocabulary itself is also complex. And the associations that you make with so many words creates a kind of new world. He wrote this poem, L'après-midi d'un faune, in 1865, made a second version in 75, and finally in 1890, he was looking for a composer that could write the music that would come before. Actually, this poem is like a small theater play that you need to read on a stage. And really, Stéphane Mallarmé was imagining a music coming with this poem. So, and he heard the 5 poèmes de Baudelaire of Debussy that I played last time, and said, this young man is the composer I need for my music. So they met in 1890. Stéphane Mallarmé was 20 years older than Debussy. So for Debussy it was a great chance to meet him, because he knew his poetry, and to know him personally was fantastic. And he started to compose in 1890. But Stéphane Mallarmé told him, take your time. Anyway, the poem is very old, so take your time to make really what you want, and we will see. And the music was finished in 1893 and first played 1 year later. And we can say that Stéphane Mallarmé really loved the music and sent a letter to Debussy saying that the music goes even farther than the poem himself. And what the poem is about a faun, which is this mythological character, you know, half human, half goat, with 2 horns and a palm flute. That's why it starts with the flute. This faun is dreaming of 2 nymphs, and on a very erotic way. It's described very precisely what happens. This erotism of the end of the 19th century, which I must say really Debussy liked very much, which inspired him those so suave harmonies, this round music, as I already said, this with contour always flowing. So you hear at the beginning, you can follow quite easily the poem, and so there is the music of the Faun. Then you hear a lighter music, which is one of the two nymphs. And then Faun. Another way to harmonize the same line. And the second nymph, so to say. And so on. And then it comes back to the Faun at the end. You see these so sensual harmonies. So the piece is easy to follow. That's why it's also a big success of Debussy, probably the biggest, the most famous piece of him. As I said, so I can summarize, we have on one side this amazing desactivation of the chromatism, totally new world. Nobody has never done such a revolution before, I can say it. Wagner went very, very far in the chromatism, so almost erasing also the tonal world, but still, as I said, it is still there. Debussy kind of not forget, but says we don't need that, and put in question the whole system, the whole music. Then we spoke about the repetition, which is, you will see, always coming back in Debussy, helping us to memorize and to like and to enjoy the music. And we spoke about the easiness of the form for this piece following the poem of Mallarmé. So before arriving at the Péléas et Mélisande, I still need to speak about another masterpiece, the Nocturne for Orchestra, written a bit before 1900, just after Prélude à l'après-midi d'un Faune. See you soon.